Hey friends, this is T again with another reaction video, and today we're going to be doing a reaction on Emergency Awesome Kathleen Kennedy, She's Gone. Now there's been rumors going back and forth whether she's planning on retiring at the end of this year or if it's bad news and it's not really happening, because we kept hearing this stuff over and over again that she was leaving, but she never leaves, okay? But now Emergency Awesome is basically saying she's gone. So I'm more on the lines of believing that this might actually come true. And guess what? I know a lot of nerds are jumping out of their seats right now because everybody wanted to get rid of this woman, probably including the company, okay? But for some reason, I don't know if it's in the contract or what the situation was, they could not get rid of this woman. To save her, I don't care how much money Disney lost, they would never get rid of this woman. Okay, I mean, it was rumors saying something about Steven Spielberg might have had something to do with it, helped her out with the contract. That way they couldn't get rid of her. She had to pretty much leave on her own. Like I said, it's a few people talked about this. Nerd Rotted, The Critical Drinker, all these people pretty much talked about this. Magnus as well. But everybody want this rumor to be true. Right now, there still is no facts. This woman at any time can change her mind, it seems, and say, no, I'm not leaving. But like I said, Emergency Awesome is basically getting into it. And usually when he's saying stuff, it usually falls in the category that he knows what he's talking about. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this woman is actually leaving. Now, she should have been fired, but, you know, it is what it is, all right? Okay, you know, I'm just going to... just be happy about the good news and hope that this is going to be true. So let's go ahead and get into this reaction. But before we do, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you know whenever we come out with new videos, okay? All right, let's get with it.
It occurred to me one day that the perfect person to take over the company was Kathy. It's just such a perfect fit.
Our stocks.
I know he regretted that. From what I hear, he hated the fact the direction she went with this, okay? You know, they really believe these people. You know, all these liberals believe each other until they get stabbed in the back or thrown under a bus. Then they're like, oh, now my ass is completely open. But you know what? They deserve it. George Lucas shouldn't have never done it. He should have put conditions on that contract, but he didn't. Most people that own something like that, you know, I don't care if this their best friend or what, they would at least put something in the contract if it's not going the way they want it. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Stan Lee, when he handed over all his rights to, you know, all the characters in Marvel, he basically put in the contract, and probably more other stuff too, but he basically put in the contract that Peter Parker will remain a heterosexual. Now, why would this man do that? This was years ago, okay? Before all the woke stuff started happening. But he put it in his contract. I mean, that's what I heard, okay? And I'm just saying that as soon as he realized things weren't going well, he should have been able to step in and course correct. But he gave all his rights, all his power to Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, and they just ruined everything. I don't even know if Star Wars can come back from this, even after she left. And somebody said that it really ain't gonna make much of a difference because all the people that she leave behind are still gonna be in control. I mean, but I'm just glad she's going. That's all I care about.
Down, and every Disney movie this year has failed. Look, I don't want to have to say it, but I think the problem is Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome back, everyone. What a day for Star Wars. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy is leaving her job as the head of Star Wars at the end of this year. I almost didn't believe it because there have been so many people speculating about her leaving or quitting or being fired over the last several years that I just stopped paying attention to it all at a certain point, because every time people would say stuff like that, you'd hear about her renewing her contract with Disney and re-upping for a couple more years.
Now, I never heard Emergency Awesome looking forward to this woman leaving. I get the impression that he's kind of happy about it, but he always tried to, from what I've seen, always try to put a positive spin on the movies from Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, whatever. But I never heard him ever attack them or say anything really, really, really negative. I mean, if he did, he was very gracious about it. But I don't know, the way he sounded is like, I'm holding on to the hope that this woman might be leaving. All of us are. It's ridiculous that this woman was able to fail up like this. It's ridiculous. I never heard of anybody doing it. I mean, not until Biden got into office and all of a sudden all these people ruining everything, okay? From the entertainment industry, football, everything, all of it. And yet they were still getting promotions and wouldn't get fired and all this crazy stuff. But more and more stuff is coming out. We're starting to find out why that was. I don't want to get into it in this video, but I'm just saying, I never in my life seen people fail up like this. Not at this magnitude.
But apparently now it is really happening, and she will be gone at the end of this year.
Okay.
Most of us that saw the news last night are still doing double takes. Like, are you absolutely sure that this is real?
I hope
This
so.
raises a ton of questions about the future of Star Wars. Who's going to take her job running everything? Will that person be able to fix all the things that seem like they've gone wrong with the brand since Disney bought them back in 2012? So
well, they got woke people like Hamilton, man. I mean, like, you never saw that coming. I'm sure a lot of fans never saw that coming, the way this man got woke like this. I mean, he's extreme, like Mark Ruffalo, man, kind of extreme, okay? I don't know what motivated them, man, but they just went out of their way to go on social media and say all kind of insane and crazy stuff. And people were looking forward to Luke Skywalker and hoping that he would somehow contribute more to it in future projects. But now I think people just want him to shut up. Don't want him to say anything. Because he was 1,000% supporter of Kathleen Kennedy, even though he can see with his eyes that she was ruining everything.
Break it all down, because I think they've already answered some of those big questions. If you're brand new to the channel, we're getting Andor episodes later this year. I'll be doing videos for those week to week. Also, we have The Mandalorian and Grogu coming next year, and Ahsoka Season 2. There are a couple things that we know Star Wars is going to be releasing the next couple of years. But regardless of how you feel about her, Star Wars has probably been one of the most mismanaged brands at Disney since they bought Lucasfilm from George Lucas back in 2012. Typically, people that support her will point to the box office grosses that even though there were a lot of disappointments with the sequel trilogy, people hope that...
That's an understatement. I mean, I just want to put this picture right here. I might even use this as my thumbnail, man. I don't know. But I'm just saying, man, it's like he signed his life away. He called Star Wars his baby. Okay, that's how he referred to it. So when you say something like that, that means it means something to you. It's deep, okay? Deep. And he thought he was giving it to some good people, but they deceived him, I believe. I truly believe they deceived him. But that shows you about their character. Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, they deceived them. Oh yeah, we definitely could. During the interviews, from my memory, during the interviews, they were talking about, yeah, we're going to piggyback off of George Lucas and make sure his dream come true and try to improve on it, all this kind of crap. But then as soon as they got control, man, they did it 180 reversal and started doing other things with it that George Lucas won't happy with. That's what I heard. He wasn't happy with this stuff. I mean, it's insane, man. But you got to blame George Lucas. He signed all his rights to it, all his rights, and that's sad when you do that. And look, Marvel did it because they pretty much probably didn't have much of a choice. They wanted the money. They really couldn't do it on their own. They probably thought Disney was probably gonna, not only do it but do it well. They were lied to too, because a lot of comic book people don't want nothing to do with Disney anymore because they saying they being treated like crap, and the people that's ruining it, they being treated like royalty. Ain't that insane? That goes back to the failing up situation, right? You gonna treat the actual people that love the audience, the comic book creators, all these people, you gonna treat them like dirt, but you gonna treat the people that don't even care about these projects like gold. It's like it boggles the mind. That's all I'm saying. It just boggles the mind.
Lucasfilm from George Lucas back in 2012, typically people that support her will point to the box office grosses that even though there were a lot of disappointments with the sequel trilogy, people hope that they retcon those movies or just pretend like they never existed.
Yeah.
The way that Disney does
Best.
their Hollywood accounting, if you've ever heard that term, Hollywood accounting, they've still made over $2.5 billion of profit on the movies that they have released so far. But if you look at the history of Star Wars under Disney since 2012, a really good comparison to make would be Marvel after Disney bought them in 2009. Disney has since made $13.2 billion of pure profit from Marvel. Now that's after all the expenses, and that includes all the consumer experiences. This is what they call like the theme parks, all the merchandise, all the stuff beyond the actual movies and TV shows that they can make money on.
And they ruining it now. It's like, okay, we making all this money making these great Marvel movies. So let's go ahead and ruin it. Let's just do what we want. Even though we got rich off all the fans, let's just do what we want. If they don't like it, we'll call them racist. We'll call them sexist. We'll, use whatever we can. Let's race swap. Let's do whatever we want now because we got the money, we got the power. But as you can look at the government right now, it's slowly slipping out of their fingers. Now they got to course correct because they don't know if they might end up getting investigated. Because look, when you ruin something, right, that means there's stockholders that expect you to do the best thing, all right? Because I learned that they can sue you. I got stocks. Stockholders can sue you if you're trying to tank your freaking company. You're supposed to show the stockholders that you're doing everything you can to make profit, to make the company grow. And it's not just because we don't like the movies or we don't like what they're doing. We can see that they losing money, but it also affects the stockholders too. So they can get in trouble for this, I think. They can get sued at some point if it comes out that they intentionally ruin their franchises and ruin their companies. And I believe a lot of them right now are running scared right now. They thought they was going to win the election and they were going to do whatever they wanted to do and keep screwing over the American people or whatever and get away with it. But it didn't go that route. And now they scrambling, man. They scrambling big time. But it just... I understand that there are crooked people in companies, that they steal and do all kind of deceitful stuff. But when you got bosses who got to answer to the American people, to the stockholders, shareholders, and they allowed this stuff to happen, I mean, these people should have got fired, man. I'm talking about Bob Iger. Sorry, Feige. You know what I'm saying? He had everything going well. Everybody trusted him, right? Then all of a sudden, he just got woke as crap. But hey, hopefully, man, after she leaves, it's going to be writing on the walls for them to start doing things the way they supposed to be doing it.
Which actually represents a much bigger pie of the way that Disney makes money than the actual movies themselves. Like the movies themselves are a relatively tiny portion of Disney's actual profits. When you look at Star Wars, though, since Disney bought them, they've only earned about $5 billion of profit, way, way less than you would normally expect them to have wanted to make money. And that also includes all the Star Wars merchandise, the theme park stuff, like I said. And anybody who's been a fan of Star Wars since the original trilogy will know that typically they make an order of magnitude more money on the merchandise than they do on the actual Star Wars movies themselves.
Yeah.
In fact, when George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Star Wars for $4 billion, they'd essentially become a licensing operation by that point. Like, he wasn't planning on making more movies. Even though he had wrote a treatment for his next Star Wars sequel trilogy, the idea is that he wasn't planning on actually making that. He wanted Disney to make those movies. And I think
Then he changed his mind. Man, they were making hand over fist, and they ruined it. And for some reason, they couldn't get rid of this woman. I mean, it can't be just her, because I don't want to make it seem like it was just her. I mean, to me, the buck stops with Kathleen Kennedy, but I'm sure it was a lot of people that helped her ruin everything. And you would think, this ain't working. Let me course correct. Let me do something right. But that showed you she didn't know what she was doing, or she didn't care. You can't be in charge of something and seeing it going down the toilet and then don't do nothing about it. And she ain't do nothing. And she's still not going to do anything. Now she's going to be retiring in end of this year, bailing ship. You know what I'm saying? I mean, It's ridiculous. I mean, you would think these people were professionals, man, but it makes no sense. You know, I never owned a big company or anything like that. I really can't judge people that run companies. I don't know everything about it. I got a little bit understanding of it. But you would think how she been in this business for like almost forever, okay? Her adult life. And she been with big wigs like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and some others, right? You would think she would have some understanding of what's working and what's not. But yet she continued to go down the toilet, and she did it with a smile. And I think another YouTuber said when she do retire, they're gonna give her all kind of awards and praises for the stuff she did, even though she ain't do nothing but ruin Star Wars.
Couple of the big reasons why she stayed at Disney and Star Wars longer than people expected her to is because of the chaos caused by the pandemic in 2020
Yeah,
and the
okay.
launch of Disney
We gotta blame everything on the pandemic. I'm getting sick of that.
Plus, with Disney really relying on them hardcore to actually turn a profit. Rewind back to 2019 with the Mandalorian series, Grogu, the launch of Disney Plus. That was viewed as a massive success. I think
Yeah.
that was the first point where she looked at Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and Disney looked at them too and said, oh, these guys seem like they know what they're doing in their
Until they tried to replace the main guy Pascal with a woman. And I like the woman. She played Starbuck on Battlestar Galactica. I like her, and she's a fan favorite. But why did you have to get rid of him? Because that's what it seemed like. They were trying to replace all the men with women. And they didn't even do a good job at that.
They're super successful. Everybody loves these new characters. They might actually be legit candidates for successors to Kathleen Kennedy, who's had a very spotty tenure at Star Wars so far. Typically, when there's chaos like that behind the scenes and you're being paid that much money and you don't deliver the way they want you to deliver, you either get fired or you get politely asked to leave. But when the pandemic happened and The Mandalorian seemed like such a huge success, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni seemed like they could do no wrong. Part of the issue, I think, is that Disney was looking at Dave Filoni as one of the successors to George Lucas, like he's a bit of a surrogate son to George Lucas.
Oh, yeah, he's disappointing. No, he was really under Kathleen Kennedy all along, in my opinion. All along. Because he became woke as woke can be. Because everybody thought he under George Lucas. If George Lucas can't step in and do something about it, maybe he can. But then all of a sudden you start talking weird, man. Start talking strange. And then they let him direct Ahsoka, which was a big disappointment. Big disappointment. That showed you right there, man. He's better at animation than he is at doing live action shows, man. Or either that he just ruined himself because he's just following behind what Kathleen Kennedy wants. I mean, it was a big disappointment. I was heartbroken by it when I heard it. I'm sure a lot of other people didn't like it either. They thought that him and Favreau's, the other dude was gonna save it, but he became woke and started doing the same crap she wanted, and she had that big old smile on her face. They did something great with The Mandalorian. It was fantastic. Everybody like, yeah, go that direction. Keep doing that. But then all of a sudden they just went back to that woke crap. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Can I get a job so I can just sit on my tail and write crappy movies and get paid big bucks? Big bucks.
Lucas. And at least at the time, he had no experience running a live-action TV show or movie business. He was more of an animation guy. So I think the Disney overlords thought that he just was not ready for a big job like that, running all the future of the movies and the TV shows, all of the live.
But that's not just his fault. It's the people that allowed him to do it. They should have given him smaller projects and worked up that way. But another Kathleen Kennedy decision, and only way you can get a job like that, even close to her, you got to do what she wants. So I think that was what this was all about. Either, because I'm sure he had to talk to her about his vision, about where he was going with Ahsoka, and he had to get her approval, or he couldn't do it. So I don't know if he just straight up woke, or he just wanted a job directing live action so he can move up. Who knows, man? But he really disappointed a lot of fans with Ahsoka, man, big time. And even people that weren't fans, that was hoping to be fans, but now they're like, ugh.
Live action stuff. This is why the last couple years you probably remember hearing about him being promoted to become the Kevin Feige of Star Wars, essentially, at least
not
on a
anymore.
creative level. He doesn't have total business oversight on all things Star Wars, just creative oversight on the movies and the TV shows. And through the last couple of years of them doing the live-action TV shows, some of them Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have been involved with. Not all the TV shows, not all the movies. They've just been doing the Mando part of the timeline. So, like, they weren't involved with the Acolyte, for example. Like, they had no hand in that at all. They obviously had no hand in the recent Indiana Jones movie that just got released.
Ugh.
I think that Kathleen Kennedy in
I didn't even watch it. You know, I wasn't even curious about watching it. I heard it was such a disappointment, just like a few other movies I haven't seen, The Acolyte and all that. It was like once I learned that there was no chance, I'm not even interested in even seeing the funny parts of it. You know, the fact how funny and stupid it is. I'm not even interested anymore. I don't even bother because I don't want to be disappointed even more. Okay, it hurts my heart, and it does. I don't want Disney to fail like they fail. I just want them to get rid of the people that's trying to destroy Disney and replace them with people that love this stuff and do right. And I'm not just talking about Star Wars or Marvel. I'm talking about the other crap Disney do, the animation and all that kind of stuff for kids. Get the right people, man, back. It seemed like they fired all these people. They cleaned house and then put in all these woke activist type folks. It's a shame, man. I don't want them to fail. I really don't. And I'm saying this for the record, man. I didn't want Disney to fail. I wanted them to be successful with this stuff. But they just didn't care.
the Disney people were basically using these last couple of years with him with a little more creative oversight, using it as a sort of trial run to get him ready to be in a more creative oversight position. Give him some of the training that he needed to actually run a big business like this with a probable partner, because what I think, my early theory, conspiracy theory, is that they're going to pull a DC Studios, Disney with Star Wars, the way that Warner Brothers did with DC when they hired James Gunn and his producing partner Peter Safran to co-run the brand. So eventually, unless something really, really wrong happens with Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, or somebody else that they might bring on, is that Dave Filoni will just have creative oversight in a more complete way going forward, and the Disney overlords will just split the responsibilities and hire another executive to do the paperwork, business side of running Star Wars, like the administrative side of things.
I think they do better when there's two people running things. I like the Russo brothers, that they do all their projects together. Directing is very stressful, and you gotta, everything's on your shoulders. You gotta wear different hats for different positions to be a director. Very, very taxing job from what I hear. I mean, I do photography, and just getting things straight, like that can be a little stressful, especially when things don't work out. So I love it when there's like two people working on things, and I think it's great. James Gunn and this other dude is working with him are doing this stuff together instead of just making. I mean, James Gunn is the face basically, but still, there's two people working on it, and they should do the same thing with Disney. This one person thing don't work these days. I think it's better to have two people, and I brought up the Russo brothers because they're doing an amazing job. All the stuff, I ain't gonna say everything they do is perfect, but I'm just saying it's still good. They still making money from that, so I love it whenever I hear two people are directing and are really running the show, because I think it's just easier on them. They understand what they're good at and what they want to do with the project, and it goes smoother, in my opinion, from my understanding. Okay, so I mean, if they were going in that direction, they should have went that direction. Got rid of Kathleen Kennedy, put in Dave Filoni. Ahsoka was terrible. Okay, but I don't think people completely gave up on this dude. You put somebody else in with them that understands the material, I think they can correct everything. Okay, I don't think Star Wars is gone. A lot of people from the YouTube world believe that Star Wars is done. You can't fix it anymore. Everybody lost interest. But I believe there's still a little spark there that's possible if they just go ahead and do it now and do it right. I still think they can save it. I still do it, just a little bit, okay?
That doesn't involve any kind of creative work. All because, remember, the important thing with Star Wars to Disney, like this is just Disney, not talking about the fans, is that Disney makes way more money on the merchandise, the stuff outside of the movies and the TV shows. But the whole idea is that the movies and the TV shows are meant to drive interest in all that other stuff that they earn way more money on.
And nobody want to buy this crap that they selling. I mean, you couldn't give it away. I mean, you just couldn't, man. Nobody was interested. And I remember the situation with George Lucas, right? He was probably one of the first persons that would actually be able, after Star Wars started, were able to sell merchandise the way he did. And that's, I think, other companies followed suit after they found out how much money they can make from selling merchandise. I mean, I'm sure it was done before George Lucas, but not at the same scale as him. So they realized that was very important. And this is another thing they dropped the ball on. You know what I mean? They parks are losing money, Marvel losing money, Star Wars losing money, Disney losing money. And they won't fire nobody, man. They need Elon Musk, man, big time. They need Elon Musk to clean house. And if Elon Musk was still helping the Democrats, they probably would have called him in to help them get things straight. If he wanted to. But because they hate him so much, that's never going to happen.
But one of the reasons why I think that Kathleen Kennedy waited until this year to apparently leave is because...
Before you even say it, because there's no fixing it. At least in her mind. She done enough damage. Everybody pretty much is saying she's terrible. You got South Park joking her. All this stuff, man. There's nothing she can do at this point to satisfy anybody. So she's bailing ship, man. She's jumping ship. That's all. She did her damage, and she can't do anything else. There's no more praises and nothing else. She rich as hell. I'm sure she is. There's nothing else she can do, and she's done. I mean, I don't even think she's even gonna go out on a good note. I think she's just gonna go out. And as long as she satisfy her friends and all that, that's all she care about. She never cared about Star Wars, and that's the way it looked to me. That's my opinion.
Her contract right now ends at the end of this year, and I think she either just chose not to re-up it, or she wasn't able to re-up it. Disney asked her to leave politely in very forceful language, like, leave or there will be blood.
Oh, yeah.
I would not put it past Disney to do something like that, like you take your bags of money and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with the future of Star Wars, though, is that what's going to happen after the Mando part of the timeline has run its course. Like, they have the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that they're bringing back next year. I think also the idea that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving so that next year Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will either take all the credit or all the blame if things do not go well with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I bet
you $1 billion they'll fire them. They'll fire them. Star Wars should be ran like almost a horror movie, in my opinion. I like the fact of something being very dark and very mysterious and scary. That's how it should be, because, the Emperor and Darth Vader was scary. I remember when I was young and I first saw it, they scared me. And I think they should go back to that formula, making very intimidating, villains for these movies, instead of making them cartoon characters and junk, man. Or I'm a bleeding heart. Even though I'm evil, I really don't want to be evil. I'm tired of that. They work that to death. I'm tired of that.
probably go fine, though. Dave Filoni also has his Thrawn movie. That's also probably going to be a trial run. I would not be surprised if Disney gives them sort of temporary positions, kind of running the brand, and then just use the next couple of movies that they try to release. And if things go well the next couple of years with all the upcoming movies that they're planning right now and the other TV shows, then they will give him a longer contract, and you'll see more of Dave Filoni actually running the brand.
Basically going back to regular business as usual. They're not inventing anything new. They're going back to the way they used to be. You got to earn the position. In order for you to keep the position, you got to make good movies, make money. It's a cutthroat business, I have to admit. It's a lot of stress from what I hear. What's the saying goes? You're as good as the last movie you made. People don't care about all the movies you did in the past. They just care about what you can do in the future, basically, okay? And they need to go back to that. I don't care how these people feel. Firing black people and all of a sudden doesn't matter that they're not drawing any eyes, but let's go ahead and keep them because it's racist to fire them. Stupid stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, the world seemed to be pretty much setting itself back to normal again ever since Trump won. I mean, we dodged a big bullet, man. Because if Kamala Harris, in my opinion, won, things probably would have just been worse. Not probably, I believe it would have been just worse. And I realize as I get older now how much stuff affect each other. Okay, um, government plays a big part in the way we live. Basically, okay, it affects so many things in our lives. And I didn't know this when I was younger. I used to didn't vote or nothing, right? I didn't care about politics or anything, but it affects so much stuff in the United States. I mean, I don't care what you do. Somehow politics is involved. Okay. I used to use the word politics when, like, if I'm at a job and they were doing crazy stuff and I was like, politics are involved. I didn't realize how much, okay, it affects everything we do in life, the good and the bad. But either case, man, I'm glad that, they starting to realize what they're doing is unsustainable, that they will start fixing all this crap and start going back to it. I don't know if they're able to save Star Wars or not. I'm hoping they are because I want some good movies still. Just get rid of all the crazy. That's gonna be very difficult for them too, right? Because they got so much wokeness in Disney, man. It's gonna be hard to get rid of these folks, man. They're gonna have to piss people off like Jeff Bezos did when he started firing all these woke folks. They mad at him. People unsubscribe to his newspaper and everything, man. But I'm sure he's gonna get a lot of people back. But I'm just saying, man, they're going to have to take a stance like that in order to fix these problems. They're going to have to say, you know what? We're not doing the woke stuff no more. We're going back to regular business and making money. All right? I'm sure they ain't going to completely abandon it, but they need to abandon it enough to bring back the real fans. The real fans, okay? All right, but that's all I have to say. I really appreciate all of you coming by. I will definitely leave the link below in the description. That way you can watch the video without any interruptions. I really appreciate all of you coming by. Thanks again. This is T, and peace.